Alright everyone, today we're going to learn a bit more about force and tension. Now all a force is simply a push or a pull. You can think about it like this. When the wind pushes a sailboat through the water, the wind exerts a force on the boat moving it forward. When gravity pulls an apple toward the ground, the gravity exerts a force on the apple. Forces can make things move, change their speed, or even change their shape. Now all tension is just the state of being stretched or strained. When you bend a popsicle stick, the popsicle stick gains tension. And when you release it, it slings back forward.
We'll need to know Newton's laws of motion for this experiment. Newton's first law is that an object at rest tends to stay at rest, and an object in motion tends to stay in motion. This law is also known as the law of inertia, which is an object's resistance to change in motion. We experience this law all the time when we are seated in a car. When the car stops quickly, your body is thrown forward because as the car was driving, your body was in motion, and because of inertia, your body is resisting the change in motion from moving to being at rest. We need to understand this law when building the catapult. In order for the catapult to move, we need to apply something to overcome its inertia, because it's at rest and wants to stay at rest. This is why we add rubber bands, so that way we can apply a force and get the catapult to move and launch our object.
Another key concept our project shows is Newton's second law. Newton's second law is shown by the equation force equals mass times acceleration. This shows that how much an object accelerates depends on the mass of the object and how much force is being applied to it. For example, when you're biking, the more force you push down on the pedals with, the faster you will start moving on the bike. In our project, the mass of the object that we are catapulting matters. If we catapult a heavier object, it will not accelerate as much as a smaller object would with the same amount of force. Because the acceleration of an object is directly related to how much force you use, the more force we apply to the object, the more it will accelerate.
Our fourth key concept is Newton's third law, which states for every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. A good example of this law is like jumping on a trampoline. When you jump on a trampoline, your feet apply a force onto the trampoline, and then the trampoline also applies a force onto your feet, which then propels you into the air. Similarly, in this project, when you pull an item in the catapult backwards and then you let it go, the catapult is then able to return that force and throw the object across the room in the opposite direction.
To build a catapult, you only need a few materials. Start off with 11 popsicle sticks. If you can find wide ones, those are best. Next, you'll need about 15 rubber bands. Have a couple extra in case if they break, or you just need a couple more for added support. Next, to have something to hold the material you're launching, you'll need a spoon or bottle cap. Finally, you'll need something to launch. Get creative with this one. You can use a piece of candy, a marble, or any other small trinket that you have around your house.
Okay, so we're going to start making the catapult, and to do that you have to make your base first. So the base is made up of 4 popsicle sticks, and to make the base you'll attach the first 2 together like this with a rubber band, and then you'll attach another one, finally the last one. So to do that, just kind of wrap your rubber band around each popsicle stick. Doesn't have to be perfect. Probably lean a little bit towards each other. It won't be a perfect angle, but by the time you attach all of them, it should even itself out. This part's a little tricky, so just wrapping your rubber bands until anything works. For this last one, if you put the rubber band inside of it, it should work a little bit better to keep it in a kind of square shape. Once they're done, you can kind of pull popsicle sticks around until it becomes a square. And it's okay if it's not perfect again. It'll work just the same. So next we're gonna make our V stands. And so it's gonna be, we'll have two, and each of them are made up of 2 popsicle sticks. And you'll make triangles with your popsicle sticks, rubber band them at the top, and then we'll attach them to the base next. So I have my first one, and we'll do the next one. What I'm kind of doing here is I go around once, I wrap it around one of them, go around again and wrap it around the other one so that it kind of evens it out. Okay, so for this next part of the video, we're gonna attach the stands, like I said before. And so you'll just pop them into your base on one side and you'll attach them at each corner. So you'll need 4 rubber bands, 1 for each corner. This part's kind of tricky. You just kind of wanna wrap the band around both the bottom of the base and the stand until it kind of connects. It'll probably collapse inwards a little bit. Next, we'll attach a bar across the top, so that should help with that, so it's okay if it does. It is not a big deal. See, mine's kind of falling in. You can just try to adjust your rubber bands for that to get it to stand up straight. We'll do the next one next. This part takes some playing around, so don't be afraid to experiment with how your rubber bands are gonna work. There's no one right way to do it. And adding the next pieces will also help a lot with making it stand up straight. Again, you want to wrap your rubber band around the stand and wrap it around the base a few times just to make it secure. All right, so once you're done, you should have a stand that looks like this. You have 2 sides and then the base, okay? And so next, we'll be attaching a crossbar, and that should help if your stand's kind of collapsing inwards like that. All right.
All right, so once you have your base and your 2 V stands attached to each other, the next step that you're gonna do is attach 2 bars in between the 2 V stands as shown. So what you're gonna do is wrap a rubber band around this inner edge twice, and then you're gonna loop it around back like shown, and then attach it on this outer edge so you can get a solid grip onto these 2 sticks right here. And then for the upper band, what you're gonna do is you're gonna do this same process, but you can just loop it around this back right here. You have to get a little bit creative with the wrapping. And then just make sure that both of these 2 bars are solid, and then we're gonna move on to the lever step. I'll demonstrate some of this in a next video.
Okay, so your catapult should look something like this now. And for this next part, you're going to need either a plastic spoon, or you can just use another popsicle stick and glue like a bottle cap onto one side, and that can be your lever. So on the side with the two popsicle sticks, you're going to take your spoon and you're going to put it first behind this top one and then in front of the bottom popsicle stick. And then the last thing you're going to do is you're going to take your rubber band and you're going to hook it onto this bottom part and then pull it through, just like that, and then just hook it on to the back side for support. There, and now you're done. You can just adjust whatever you want to. Nothing about this has to be perfect, but now you have a functioning catapult. And now you can decorate it. If you have markers, if glitter, you can name it. If you're making this with other people, you could challenge them. And I'll show you how it works.
We can see Newton's second law in action when we release the candy from the catapult. The acceleration of the candy depends on its mass and the force applied on it by the catapult. In this scenario, acceleration is how fast the candy is speeding up. Mass is how heavy the candy is, and force describes how hard the candy is launched from the catapult. We see Newton's third law in action when the popsicle stick is swung back to its normal position by the rubber band. The action force is the force that you apply to pull the popsicle stick back against the rubber band, and the equal and opposite reaction is the force of the rubber band pulling the popsicle stick back to its normal position.